nice to see you here. Oh my goodness, I have five things that I learned from my time spent free solo climbing and skiing active glaciated volcanoes as a former pro that can help you along your journey as an entrepreneur, just like it did me. You're going to want to stick around until the end because number 5 is going to show you why you actually have the wrong mindset around goal setting and what you can do instead. So the first thing is to find your edge in at least one area of life and then continue to push it until you fail. Yep. When I slipped and fell free solo climbing on a glacier, I almost died. I pushed my edge too far. I went over. And I'm lucky to be here and share this story with you today because I was able to find my sweet spot after that. It is so important to know where the edge is and what it feels like to go over as an entrepreneur because the consequences are likely not death. You are playing around with maybe wasted time, money, reputation. These are things that can all be mended as an entrepreneur. And so a simple way to work with finding your edge in business is to play around with your wake up time. Maybe start setting your alarm for a half hour earlier so that you can have some extra time in the morning for you. Now that extra half hour in the morning might actually be too much, and you will only know if you give it a go. If you find that setting your alarm a little bit earlier actually leads to some burnout at the end of the day, you know that you have gone over the edge. If you burn out in business, that doesn't help anyone. And if you can find that sweet spot, that edge where you have one foot grounded and the other dangling off the cliff, you've now become a leader that knows what it feels like to enter into that creation space of the unknown as an entrepreneur. Number 2 is to set a goal in your life that feels scary and tell someone so that you can be held accountable. Now, I did this as an entrepreneur, setting goals. I've also done this as an athlete, deciding that I wanted to go and climb 28 active volcanoes in a matter of 2 months. I did not achieve that goal. I, in fact, climbed 18 volcanoes in 28 days, which is the equivalent of Mount Everest from base camp to the summit 4.7 times in less than a month. It's great, yet it was not the goal that I had set. And I had told sponsors, I was contracted to work towards that goal. And I'll tell you what, it's about the process and being held accountable during that process that will lead to you eventually finding the destination. Whether the destination is the goal you reached or somewhere else, it does not matter. You did the best you could because you were held accountable. In entrepreneurship, we can hold ourselves accountable with our money. We can hold ourselves accountable with our voice and our brand presence by telling our audience, telling the world what it is we're here to do, and then continuing to show up to do it. You could take a new course that teaches you something about entrepreneurship and literally allow your money to hold you accountable to show up and learn. There are so many different ways to hold yourself accountable by setting a goal in your life that feels bigger than life. And I recommend you go and find a big goal and then choosing one of the ways I just mentioned to hold yourself accountable. Number 3 is that challenges are growth opportunities. I want to talk to you a little bit about cold plunging. This is something that I did in order to prep my body for skiing, to prep my body as an athlete. I would go and jump into a river, a freezing cold glacier-fed river, and I would sit there while my body went into this hyperventilating state. If I stayed there long enough, my body started to calm down. And I started to feel surges of dopamine. I started to feel stronger mentally and physically. It was amazing what I was able to do by experiencing that challenge and then literally feeling the growth potential of pushing my boundaries while I was in that cold river. You can do this too in entrepreneurship. And in fact, let's take the analogy a little bit further. Maybe you have just dipped your toe into business. You might have noticed that the water is freezing. Same goes for that river plunge. If I dipped my toe in, I wouldn't have jumped all the way in. There's no way. You have to go 2 feet in first. There is no walking. It is all in energy as an entrepreneur. And so what you can do is just know that the water is freezing and we are all still here anyways, because on the other side of a challenge is growth. Number 3 is to apply for things that you are not yet qualified for. I cannot stress enough how critical this is for success. Leaders do not wait until they're ready to move. They see where there is resistance in their life, where there is fear in their life, and they lean into that. Getting a no for most people can be absolutely devastating. I'll tell you what, it took me 3 years and over 90 no's before I got a free car and started getting flown internationally for ski trips and photo shoots as a professional. I believe a no teaches you much more than a yes. And I recommend that today you go and find at least one area in your life where you can stretch yourself by taking action on something that doesn't feel perfect, something where you don't actually feel ready, because the leader, the entrepreneur, they make moves, they take aligned action on things before they ever feel ready. And that's what makes them successful. Number 5, goal setting and summit fever. Oh my goodness. When we set goals and we think about the goal, we are so focused on the goal that we might actually miss a different path up the mountain or towards the goal, towards the summit of our entrepreneurial journey. That is a lot easier. That is less rocky, less steep. When I am mountaineering and I get to the top and I get to the summit, I look out and what do I see? A bunch of mountains left to climb. When we focus on the goal and we think the goal is going to bring us something that we crave, right? Maybe it's more money. Maybe it's validation. Maybe it's this feeling of success. As an entrepreneur, I can guarantee that you will reach your goal, and before you've even reached that goal, you will have already set 5 new goals because you know you are about to hit that goal. And you have a rock solid mindset that knows you are going to continue to climb and continue to grow on this journey and path as a CEO and entrepreneur. And so I recommend that when you are goal setting, you have the goal, but you do not focus on the goal. The goal is not what brings you happiness. I promise you that goal is not going to give you all the things you think it will. It needs to be cultivated in the moment. The feeling of joy, the feeling of contentment, the feeling of worth, validation, success, that comes from present moment awareness on the journey. And if you are not present on your journey, you will miss an easier route to your goal. Thank you so much for being here with me. I am the host of the Madeline Show podcast. This is my little dog, Eli, and we are so grateful to have been able to inspire you with our stories from the mountains while you are off on your entrepreneurial journey. Go get it and speak up about what it is you are doing to help the world.